people that are attending virtually this evening, and so all roll call and votes this evening have to happen by roll call. So, Mr. Derrick.
Here.
Mr. Bryan.
Here.
Ms. Tower. Here. Ms. Buck.
Here.
Ms. Tiff.
Here.
Ms. Ostendorf. Here. Chair is here along with Superintendent Anderson, so all are present. Would you rise and share the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. The vision, I will read the mission this evening. The mission of the Red Wing Public Schools is to educate and inspire all students as they realize their full potential and become respectful, responsible, and productive citizens. In your board book, there's the agenda for this evening. Does anyone have any changes or additions to make?
No changes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And I'll second that.
Jim made the motion to approve the agenda. Holly seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Roll call.
There we go. I've
That's your
already
first
messed it up. We'll do a roll call vote to approve the agenda, starting with Ms. Ostendorf. Aye. Ms. Tift.
Aye.
Ms. Buck.
Aye.
Ms. Tower.
Aye.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye.
Mr. Derrick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So the agenda passes as presented. The first item on our agenda this evening is the election of officers. Because this is the first meeting in January, we do have a lot of business items on our plate this evening to get through. And the first one, of course, is the election of officers. There's a full background of information on how this is conducted in our board book. But we begin by taking nominations for chair. Just so you know, I have thoroughly enjoyed my role as chair of the Red Wing School Board for the last 2 years. It's been my great honor and privilege to do so. There are some things happening in my life in the next year and beyond that are going to require some more of my time, and so I will not be seeking a nomination this evening. But with that, I will open it up and seek other nominations, and I see Ms. Tift has her hand raised.
Yes, I would like to nominate Anna Ostendorf, please, for chair.
Thank you. Any other nominations? I will nominate Mr. Jim Bryant. Any other nominations? Any nominations? Any other nominations for chair? So on our ballot, I have Ms. Ostendorf and Mr. Bryant. We'll take a roll call vote. We'll start with voting for Anna Ostendorf. We'll start with you, Mr. Bryant.
No.
Ms. Buck.
Yes.
Mr. Derricks.
We're on Ostendorf. Is that right?
Yes, we are on Ostendorf.
Aye. Yes.
Ms. Ostendorf.
Yes.
Ms. Tower.
No.
Ms. Tift.
Yes.
Chair votes no. So that is 4 votes yes, 3 votes no.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
We don't have to go through the,
Yeah, typically what we do is do a roll call and just say who they would vote for.
okay,
So you might want to finish the tally by going
Okay.
through
okay. So we will now vote for Mr. Bryant, and we will start with Ms. Buck.
No.
Mr. Derricks.
No.
Ms. Ostendorf. No. Ms. Tower.
Yes.
Ms. Tift.
No.
Mr. Bryant.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So it's still 3 yeses and 4 noes for Mr. Bryant. So, Ms. Ostendorf, congratulations, you are chair. And you get to, we'll switch spots because you get to
Okay.
finish the meeting. I will leave you my notes here,
All right.
so you can,
Would it be easier for me to bring your notebook over here?
sure.
Just for logging in and all of that jazz.
And by the way,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd just like to comment that Pam, you've done a great job as board chair. And I've been blessed here in Red Wing to have multiple great board chairs, including Arlen and Mitch, Heidi, and Jamie. You know, it's been a true blessing to work with each of you in that role. It's not an easy job, and so thank you for that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And I hope I got every board chair I've worked with, because that was the intent when I mentioned people's names.
Yes, thank you, Pam.
Okay, so forgive me as I figure out what I'm doing. So now we have a vice chair. So I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I will nominate Mr. Jim Bryant.
Thank you, but I'll respectfully decline.
Okay. Then, can I make another nomination? I will nominate Arlen Dirks.
You nominated me.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Holly Tower.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, so you were saying to go through the roll call and people to just say whether they would vote for Arlen Dirks or Holly Tower.
Correct, that's typically how it's
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Different boards will do it in different ways, but that's how we've done it here in the past.
Okay,
And then usually you would say, are there any other nominations 3 times before, going to the vote?
I think I'm on 2. So are there any other nominations? Okay, I will begin our roll call vote with Mr. Jim Bryant.
Holly Tower.
Nikki Buck,
Holly Tower.
Arlen Dirks,
Arlen.
Holly Tower,
Holly Tower.
Jennifer Tift,
Arlen Dirks.
Pam Rowe,
Arlen Dirks.
and chair votes for Arlen Dirks. So, congratulations, Arlen.
Congratulations,
Vice
Arlen.
chair.
Congratulations. It's been a learning experience working with you. I'm looking forward to it, I guess.
Thank you.
I think it'll work out very well.
All right, so treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer?
Nominate Holly Tower.
Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? One more time, are there any other nominations? Okay. So, we can do,
I would like to nominate Jim.
oh, okay. Okay. Do I have to ask 2 more times again? Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations? Okay. So we can do roll call, and indicate whether you would vote for Holly Tower or Jim Bryant as treasurer. I'll start with Pam Rowe.
Jim Bryant.
Jennifer Tift,
Holly Tower.
Holly Tower.
Jim Bryant.
All right, Arlen Dirks,
Well, based on that, I'll vote for Jim.
Nikki Buck.
I'll vote for Jim as well.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'll vote for Jim as well.
And Jim Bryant.
Jim nominate me.
And Humphrey.
I'll vote for Jim Bryant.
All right, and chair votes for Jim Bryant as well. So that you are the treasurer. What?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, and then we are up to clerk. So do we have any nominations for clerk?
I will nominate Jennifer Tift.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Pam Roll. You nominate me all the time.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any more nominations? Okay. So we will start our roll call and indicate whether your vote is for Jennifer Tift or Pam Rowe. I will start with Holly Tower.
Jennifer Tift.
Jennifer Tift.
Jennifer Tift.
Pam Rowe.
Jennifer Tift.
Jim Bryant.
Pam Roll.
Nikki Buck.
Jennifer Tift.
Arlen Dirks.
Jennifer Tift.
And chair votes for Jennifer Tift. So that is 6-1 for Jennifer. All right. Then we have our education plan and recognitions and upcoming events. Do we have any recognitions or upcoming events?
I would like to recognize some of the staff I got to visit right before the holiday break. I stepped into the high school just to introduce myself to some new people. And it was great to see so many people super engaged in the work that they could do when the kids weren't in the building. And I know it was controversial and I know it was difficult. I heard time and time again, an appreciation for the time for teachers to dig deeper and get organized and have just kind of a breather around what it is they're actually wanting to, accomplish for the second semester or for the second quarter or things like that. And then I had an opportunity to talk to a couple teachers in the elementary, and they also just wanted to say thank you for the time that they had to dig deeper. And I think that was really the message all the way around is, just thanks for recognizing there's a lot of work, and just keep remembering there's a lot of work. So I just wanted to recognize some of those people. Thank you.
Yeah. If I could also recognize our maintenance and custodial crew for their work yesterday. Over the weekend, we had an energy recovery system here at the high school go down. And that we rely on that system for airflow throughout the high school. If it had not been fixed on Sunday, we would have had to postpone school or cancel school. And so in particular, I'd like to highlight the work of Kevin Johnson, Alan Gaylor, Scott Simonson, and Mark Bloom. They're the employees who came in on a freezing cold Sunday to install a new motor that we happen to have in stock. So they had not only gave up on a Sunday in the freezing cold, but it also demonstrates the good planning that the custodial department has done in the past as far as having an extra motor on hand, as well as doing some other work throughout the building so that, because of the referendum effort earlier, as a result of all of that, we were able to have school and no one noticed the difference. So once again, thank you for their work yesterday.
All right, any other recognitions or upcoming events? to public comment. And there is no one here for public comment. Did you receive any?
I did not. Again,
No.
Okay. Then we are on to COVID-related topics.
As at other meetings, I include COVID-related information in the board packet. So we have the COVID data sheet, the learning plan that was most recently approved by the board, our face coverings policy, and recently added some additional information about potential mitigation strategies and some ways to address that now, how we got one year that was implemented before Christmas. And there are numerous other things that we can do. This was, in addition, we have information about employee national expectations and just other miscellaneous information. I was on a week in Montana for a week, so really this is not changed since that time. But I'll be working with administrators over the next week or two in order to implement some of the strategies that are listed there. Are we out, Anna?
We're staticky.
Okay,
This is the sentence of the text.
How does it sound? Okay, better.
great, thank you. I will say that on the 31st, so just a couple of days ago, we received information from the Minnesota School Boards Association indicating their suggested response to the federal vaccination rule that is still in effect. And it will likely or will possibly mean a special meeting a week from tonight in order to consider approval of a policy mandating vaccinations or testing for school employees. Now, with that being said, it all hinges on a Supreme Court hearing that's taking place on the 7th. So, a lot will be known after that hearing on the 7th. We expect a really quick turnaround time from the Supreme Court to let us know if that's going to stay in place or not. If it stays in place, then we'll need to have a special meeting to consider the policy. If it doesn't, then it's going to depend on what the Supreme Court tells us to do. So just want to be forthright with that. What I'd like to do is to post that special meeting for Monday at 6 p.m. Hopefully we'll have a quorum that would be available at that time next week. And if we don't need the meeting, then of course we'll cancel the special meeting. At least we can have it in the books. But I want to make sure that we have a quorum that would be available at that time. Otherwise, we could choose a Sunday night or maybe a Monday morning or something like that. Would at least 4 of you be able to attend? Let's see, Pam and Holly, Anna.
Most likely not, depends on how things go with planning.
Oh, sure.
I will be able to.
Okay. And Jim was nodding yes as well. So that's what we'll do. We'll post it as a special meeting.
Do we need a motion to schedule a meeting or?
We don't have to because we can call a special meeting without a formal board motion. And so I'll just go ahead and do that.
Okay.
But a lot of things are in flux depending on what the Supreme Court decides. We do have a model policy that the School Board Association forwarded to the superintendent on the 31st. And so we'll start with that. We have some adjustments to make over the next day or two. And so we'll post that on Wednesday, knowing that everything could change shortly thereafter.
Okay. Arlen?
I assume that meeting will be posted to the effect that there may be a vote on whatever you were going to have to vote, so it should not just state there. We'll make sure that it's clear that it's a meeting to discuss whatever has to be and the votes on what type of votes or whatever. Or it could be just votes in general regards to mandatory vaccines or testing, et cetera, or something like that. Come up with the right language on that. And then could I ask one other question?
Sure.
If the Supreme Court, maybe it's too early to ask, where are we at if it does go through that they have to be vaccinated? Is it at least 1 shot, 2 shots, or 2 shots, or at least 1 shot and a booster, or is that all in flex also?
Well, I can answer that question in general terms.
And I know it's subject to change, probably.
Yeah, always subject to change because we really don't know what the Supreme Court will decide, obviously. But right now, the federal rule calls for a full vaccination of employees. So it would take the doses needed depending on the vaccine. So the Johnson & Johnson would just be the one shot. It would be Pfizer or Moderna, then you'd need, both shots. And it's, I don't want to say murky, but it's complicated to explain because the full program does not have to be implemented until February 9th. So we would need a policy in place on the 10th as far as what our plan is. And then by February 9th, employees would need to be either fully vaccinated or they would have to be undertaking a weekly testing for COVID. At least that's going to be my recommendation to the board. The alternative would be to require full vaccinations for everyone. And but my recommendation is to give employees a choice, either vaccination or weekly testing. So in general, that's kind of the thrust of our decision that will need to take place. We have to comply with the.
And COVID also include the booster then?
No, it does not.
Probably may or may not. It's not clear to me and for everybody else. I'm just looking for any insight. Maybe it should be asked because I know it's going to be subject to those interpretations.
Right. Yeah, currently my understanding is that the federal rule, as well as the model policy suggested by the Minnesota School Board Association, would be full vaccination, but that does not mean booster shot. Now that can change over the course of time, but at least that's my understanding as of right now.
Ms. Rowe?
I just have a question about the newest CDC recommendations and guidelines for quarantining. I saw that they have reduced the amount of time, and as I read that, I thought about all of our sub-issues. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the COVID response team, and I discussed that today. And, that is a lower standard than where we currently are with our learning plan. We have not received guidance from the Minnesota Department of Health yet in terms of their recommendations. In the past, we've tried to follow the Minnesota Department, rather than CDC. So we're waiting on guidance from the Minnesota Department of Health. So that's one reason why, we're not prepared to recommend a change, right now in terms of the isolation period. The other issue has to do with the complicated nature of the CDC change. It's not as simple as just lowering the number of days of isolation. There are all sorts of different criteria and different variations in that, so we're concerned about that. And then we also have some concerns about the fact that educators are in classrooms with many people who are not vaccinated yet. Obviously, we have a tougher time with social distancing because oftentimes we're working with younger kids, those kinds of things. So we would like to take some time to let all that sort out before we recommend a change. But really the next big hurdle or opportunity, depending on your viewpoint, would be to wait for the Minnesota Department of Health's recommendations. And then we'll really analyze that and possibly come forward to the board.
Have we done any of our policy stuff based upon CDC and not Department of Health? Or everything's been decided based upon Department of Health?
My understanding is that.
No, I'm not even understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Is our policy, any of it, and our requirements in quarantine, anything to do with any following any of the CDC instead of the Department of Health? Or is it all of the Department of Health, all or nothing? Because that's what you said.
Yeah, we've been making our own standards because many of the CDC and even the Minnesota Department of Health are recommendations, not requirements. And so we've been making our own standard, but we prefer waiting until the Minnesota Department of Health has issued their guidance before making a decision.
But that's not what you said earlier. You said you follow the Department of Health. So I just want to make sure we're understanding something on next Monday when the Supreme Court really comes one way or the other. And we can't really digest that because they'll decide it based on the merits of the case.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure that you're saying that you won't look at CDC unless the Department of Health does, because that's what you've always followed.
Yeah, and if that's what I said, I'm sorry, because we do set our own standard. They're really two different issues. The Supreme Court is dealing with a vaccination mandate, whereas I think Pam's question
I'm
is,
talking about our policy, that's fine. I think you went around the issue and thank you.
so anyway, what I'm anticipating for the special meeting is a focus on the actual policy regarding vaccinations and or testing. So that's what we're planning for that particular meeting, but we'll have more discussions if we our learning plan in the future.
One more question. Is there going to be a declination, or is it just going to be one of those two things? Or will there be a declination process for people who don't want to vaccinate or can't vaccinate?
Oh, yeah, there are some particular accommodations or some exceptions that are allowed in our policy and the federal rule. So we'll implement all of those, as we're required to.
Okay, so unless we hear otherwise, we will be having a special meeting on Monday, January 10th at 6 p.m. All right, moving on to school board reports. We have reports from, I don't know that any committees have met since the, what was it, the 27th? Is that when we met?
No,
No,
we haven't
20th.
had any committee meetings.
We're not going to, is my understanding, correct?
I will say that the negotiations team has met. We met with teachers on the 23rd of December, and I feel like we've made some progress there. We're going to be hopefully meeting here in the next week or so, and we're getting there, moving the dial.
I have a question, Anna. I was wondering, I looked on reports and it'll come up later, if you would be willing to allow me to be the community ed rep. You're listed as that, just
Oh,
think about it, yeah,
yes.
but I just wanted to put it out in the public
Okay.
arena. If you would be willing to allow me to take that position over for you, since you'll be busy with board work, chair work, I mean.
And the equity team had a meeting today, so that may be the only exception, I guess, for committees that have met. We met with Dr. Thomas Harris, who has just recently retired from UW La Crosse, and has done a significant number of interviews in the Red Wing community. And as a group, the equity team is going to be participating in and suggesting other people participate in a 21-day racial equity challenge. So there is a website, eddiemoorejr.com. Eddie Moore, M-O-O-R-E, is an author and has kind of curated a number of different 21-day plans. One of them that Jess Whitcomb was saying was really helpful for teachers was the Indigenous Challenge. So it was specifically related to Indigenous communities and issues in the U.S. I think that's it for our report, unless, Nikki, did I miss anything else that was?
Nope, I think you hit it all.
All right. And we are on to administrative reports.
Yeah, really, I don't have anything additional to add, since we've all been on vacation for much of the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Can I ask how our first day after the winter break was today, as far as maybe an update on staffing, how we were and how we were on student attendance, and anything that might relate to what our concerns are on COVID or just staffing in general?
It was a good day in terms of staffing and student attendance. There was a relatively high activity at Burnside and Red Wing High School in terms of the number of calls that we had, with COVID-related concerns. So it's, relatively high compared to the normal days, but overall it's a really good day. I know that I walked through Twin Bluff School this morning. It was nice and quiet. They didn't have any significant staffing issues. I will say that we've had some non-COVID situations that have impacted some of our board members recently. And so, or not board members, some of our staff members just over the last few days, some tragic events. And so, we do have some significant situations there. But if you look at just the happenings in the school, I think we had a really good first day after break.
Okay, then we are on to our consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they need to pull or would like to pull from the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
I'll second that.
so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Ms. Tower, seconded by Ms. Rowe. Is there any discussion?
I'll ask Jackie later. Thank you.
So I will start our roll call with Ms. Tower.
Aye.
Mr. Dirks,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Ms. Rowe,
Aye.
Jennifer Tift,
Aye.
Ms. Buck,
Aye.
and chair votes aye, so that passes 7-0. Okay, on to, we get through a few pages here.
If I could jump in, it's has to do with the resolution accepting donations and grants.
Okay, yes.
I figured I'd just say that since I'll be listing them anyway. So we have three more generous donations that are benefiting our kids. First of all, Red Wing Public School Foundation donated $1,200 for the second grade field trip to Corey Hill. First Robotics donated $4,000 for the Tower View Robotics Program. And Nubbelsdorf donated just under $9,000 for 200 deluxe household tool sets. And, they've done that in the past. It was a year, I believe it was a year ago when, there were donations, for all of our high school seniors to receive those tool sets. And, they've made a significant, well, actually all three of those organizations have made significant donations throughout the community for years. So again, thank you to those three organizations.
Yes, thank you. And looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the resolution by Ms. Rowe, second by Ms. Tower. We will do our roll call vote, beginning with Ms. Buck.
Question.
Oh, sorry.
Where's First Robotics?
I don't know the location of First
Are
Robotics.
they in town or are they somewhere else?
I don't know. They've made regular donations for the Tower View Robotics Program, but I don't know their location.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? I apologize for skipping that part. So now our roll call vote, beginning with Ms. Buck
Aye.
and Ms. Tift,
Aye.
Ms. Rowe,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Mr. Dirks,
Aye.
Ms. Tower.
Aye.
All right, and chair votes aye. So that passes 7-0. And thank you again to all of those donors. All right, then we are on to our meeting schedule.
I believe the chart in the agenda packet reflects discussions that took place last fall. The only question that Lisa and I had to do with the starting time for the regular meetings. We talked about either 6 o'clock start or a 6:30 start, but I believe we kind of landed on just conducting the meeting shortly after each workshop session. So that's why I put 6 o'clock down. In the posting notices, we would say 6 o'clock for immediately following the workshop session on it. That's how we would post it. But I thought for this document, we would just say 6 o'clock. Again, this is really up to the board to decide, but that was my understanding from last fall workshop.
And so am I correct in understanding that if we were to say that the regular school board meeting starts at 6, or when the committee meeting ends, we couldn't start it before 6? Like if the committee of the whole ended at 5:45, we would not be able to start the regular meeting until 6 o'clock, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, whichever is later.
Okay,
Precisely why we didn't want to put 6:30 down
Right.
for the school board meeting, because we have to wait till 6:30, and if we got done early, we'd be wasting time.
great. Do we want to discuss at this time what our breakdown of the committees would be? Having this committee of the whole at 5. For efficiency, which committees essentially would we have meeting on those? Like of the finance, operations, personnel, legislative policy? I think it would make sense to have that determined, that, you know, which meeting of the month we do finance, which one we do operations. Anyone have any
I would prefer we touch them all.
at everyone?
Mhm.
And it may vary, oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I was gonna say, I think we should be able to talk about anything, but I like the idea of focusing on certain things at certain workshops. Finance, you really can't do much early in the month, knowing what happened just a couple weeks before. That's why I moved to the 4th week of the month from what it used to be. Otherwise it gets too old, so I would suggest that we try to focus on finances on the first meeting of the month on that. I'm not sure on the other ones necessarily, but I think if you focus on 2 things, you might be able to accomplish or dedicate more time to an item than if you focus on everything all the time. But I think we should be able to talk about anything in any area if there's a need. We're not a voting thing, but I would like to see focus in certain areas at certain times, certain meetings.
Any other thoughts? Jim?
That's fine, I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna point out the Joint Powers Recreation Board, Holly Tower and I have been on it, we have not met for
It's been
coming
dissolved.
up 2 years.
Yeah, it's been dissolved.
It's been resolved.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
It was,
They went from the Recreation Board to, Donna, that terminology there. More,
it kind of morphed into something where we're not necessarily needed in the roles that we were in.
right.
And we did that last fall.
What's that?
We did that last fall, August.
Oh, it was a year ago. It was during the, pandemic.
When weren't we in?
Only 2 years coming up.
Been 2 years.
2 years coming up.
And then, and if I could add something?
Pam was
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was
I
just
remember
gonna
attending.
say, would it make sense to put all of the committees on every agenda, but like maybe star a couple so that if we did want to bring something up, it was at least on the agenda? Would that make sense? Or, because if it's not on the agenda, can't really talk about it, can we? Or all other
If
business?
they're regular meetings, you could.
What's that?
If they're regular meetings, I think you can.
You could add anything to the agenda.
If they're
But yeah,
not
I
a
think
special meeting,
I like the focus, but I think we also need the flexibility.
Right.
Because if
Yep.
there's not enough to talk about in one area, then again, we're wasting time.
Right.
Yeah, and that was my understanding too, is that we would want these workshop topics to be flexible. For example, one workshop, I'm sure we'll invite Alan Gaylor to talk about some buildings and grounds related issues. So we'd have that front and center, but there would likely be other items too, personnel related, policy related, so that, we'd have some flexibility. So, the chair, vice chair, and I could certainly make sure that that's incorporated into the agenda, just to give us flexibility, because things will come up from time to time.
And I'm wondering if, just kind of thinking out loud, if we vary which one starts the meeting, because sometimes what starts it out ends up taking over, so that if we have, finance starting the meeting one time and then operation starts at the next time or something like that, just to make sure that and if we have people coming to speak, that they can
Rotate the topics.
get what they need to establish. Okay.
We'll leave it to you three.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the school board meeting schedule as presented?
So moved.
Right.
I love it.
I will second that.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda, or the schedule as presented. Motion by Ms. Tower, second by Ms. Rowe. And I will start our roll call with Ms. Tift,
Aye.
Ms. Rowe,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Mr. Dirks,
Aye.
Ms. Tower,
Aye.
Ms. Buck,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So that passes 7-0. All right. So then we are on to the committee assignments.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, I came up with a list of committee assignments, again, based on the discussion that we had last fall. And so from my understanding of that discussion, we would have the agenda committee that would meet regularly, as well as a negotiations committee that would, meet as needed. And then we'd have multiple school board liaisons to school groups. So those are listed here. Holly and Jim brought up about the joint powers board, so we'll make those adjustments. The actual liaisons are purposely indicated just as the 2021 liaisons. And so what we've done in the past is that the board chair would make determinations as far as who is the liaison to which school group. And so we would bring that back to the next meeting to officially approve. So that's why those names are listed there. I wasn't trying to, set, who I thought should be there. It was just the 2021 liaison.
So if anyone has, Ms. Tower already expressed one, if anyone has any other changes they would like to see.
I would like to also stay on the GCEE board.
Okay.
With Kim, that Cal is currently in work and process, I would stay there for sure, and I would like to stay on with negotiations for that same reason. Unless someone has a burning desire to take my place. Yeah, I need to.
I would also like to stay as the Native American Parent Committee liaison as well.
So if anybody thinks of any other changes they would like to make,
Why don't you reach out to each of us and ask us individually later?
I can do that.
Right now, you look at it very imbalanced.
I will go through. I will do that.
I could just go say the same thing. I was gonna suggest a conversation with individual board members where their specialties are, where they'd like to be, and then come up with a balance. And I think in the end, it comes back to kind of a ratification to the board at a future meeting. There's a lot to do in the next 2 weeks. Personally, I wouldn't mind at this stage. We know what we're at, but if it doesn't get done 2 weeks from now, it's not the end of the world, but it'd be nice to get it set up here at the next regular meeting. But that's my thoughts, but.
All right. Okay, then we have to, because it is the beginning of the year, we need to designate our official newspaper for any notices. So I'm looking for a motion to designate the Republican Eagle as the official newspaper.
I'll designate the Republican Eagle as the official newspaper, and apparently it's still staticky.
Oh, let me
Yes.
see that.
So I'm gonna talk this way.
Could somebody jiggle the,
I can jiggle it.
okay, do we have a sec? So Ms. Tower has made a motion to designate the Republican Eagle as the official newspaper of the school district. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Less staticky?
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Tower and second by Mr. Sears. Is there any discussion? Okay, so I will start my roll call with Ms. Wright. Ms. Howard. Ms. Rowe.
There you go. Like, tell them back to tell them.
On the back that I did before.
By the way, as Holly is helping us out there, we do have a plan in place to rework this system that I think we'll be very pleased with. So it's in works.
Nikki, can you,
Static is gone now.
Okay.
Nikki, can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, so the roll call vote was up to Ms. Buck.
Okay, I'm sorry, there was a lot of static. What am I roll calling this for?
There is a motion to designate the Republican Eagle as the official newspaper of the Red Wing School District.
Aye.
And Ms. Tift?
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye, so that passes 7-0. And moving on, we
Arlen.
need
Sorry, Lisa asked a question. I was like, Arlen.
Yeah, Lisa asked the question as far as who made the second. So according to
Yes.
my notes, we have Holly and Arlen.
Yeah.
Start over yet, I thought somebody was sneaking up behind me.
I was trying to
Okay.
be discreet.
continuing on with our beginning of the year to-do list, we need to name our official depositories for transactions and investments. So I'm looking for a motion
I can make that motion
as written.
as written. So moved. My
Okay,
head is on the next thought, so I was just, anybody gonna?
is there a second?
I'll second.
Jackie, was this what we went through in detail last year?
Oh, with the credit card, we went through detail.
Okay, so this was your recommendation? Good, all right.
Yeah, in case the public wasn't able to hear Jackie's answer, Holly asked if this is a topic that we reviewed thoroughly last year. And Jackie responded that it wasn't because we had reviewed the credit card holders in detail last year. And that's coming up on the agenda.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion to name the following as depositories for school district funds for transactions and investment purposes for the 2022 year. First Farmers and Merchants of Red Wing, Bremer Bank, Rochester, ACH Flow-Through, Associated Bank, PMA Securities, Inc., Wells Fargo Bank, Minneapolis, US Bank, Minneapolis, and Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund. Motion made by Ms. Tower, seconded by Ms. Rowe. Okay, and I will begin our roll call vote with Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Mr. Dirks?
Aye.
Ms. Tower?
Aye.
Ms. Buck?
Aye.
Ms. Tift?
Aye.
And Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so that passes 7-0. Moving on to our school district financial advisor.
The recommendation is to designate Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors as our primary financial advisor for the school district. They've served in that capacity in the past. Before Baker Tilly, we worked with Springstead, but I think Baker Tilly bought them out or somehow they joined. And so it's many of the same people, but it's not called Baker Tilly.
Okay, do we have a motion to designate Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors as the primary financial advisor for the school district?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
As,
Jennifer, I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Dirks, second by Ms. Tift. Is there discussion?
yeah, I just want to ask a quick question now. Would Baker Tilly be involved in answering questions on tax implications? Should we work on a referendum and such? I mean, this would be the go-to company on that too. Did we use them on the last one or?
We did.
Okay, just thought I'd put that out there a little bit. So. And they would be the ones that would compute the impact on a certain value home in Red Wing and that type of thing if it was needed.
Let me possibly stand corrected. Was it officially Baker Tilly or was it Springstead at that time, Jackie?
It might have still been Springstead at that time, but it's the same firm, Baker Tilly Law.
Yeah. So it's the same firm, same people.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion to designate Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors as the primary financial advisor. Motion made by Mr. Dirk, second by Ms. Tift. And I will begin our roll call with Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Mr. Dirks.
Aye.
Ms. Tower.
Aye.
Ms. Buck.
Aye.
Ms. Tift.
Aye.
Ms. Rowe.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. So that passes 7-0. Next up is legal counsel. So there's a recommendation to designate law firm Kennedy and Graven as primary legal advisor for the school district, with O'Meara, Lear, Wagner, and Cole as legal advisor for matters affiliated with the Office of Civil Rights.
Question.
Yes, Mr. Bryant.
Do you ever ask for bids for these positions?
We have
Spend a lot of money on legal fees.
not recently done it, but I know that school districts periodically will solicit different prices from different legal firms, but we have not done that for years.
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 Meaning, did you come with them?
I know they were our legal advisor when I started here, as I recall. Now we've changed lawyers. Tim Palmentier used to be the primary attorney that we used to deal with when I first started. He took a job with the school district, and so now we work primarily with Greg Manson. There's also another gentleman, his first name is Adam, I can't think of his last name offhand. And so we kind of deal with both of those attorneys. So, but we could certainly solicit quotes from different legal firms in Minnesota that specialize in school law.
And I want to bring it up because you answered my question as to how long it's been. You look at 10, 12 years, they're here already, so why are we not looking at it? Because we did Avenue, before then we had, where we had now Schaefer. Every so many years we go out and bid that, why are we not looking at this, especially with the amount of legal costs that we've incurred the last several years?
Yes, that would be a very easy thing for us to do. I'm sure there's a template where we just solicit those prices. And there's a relatively small number of legal firms in Minnesota that specialize in school law, but we could quite easily send it out to that small list and at least find out the different price rates.
They might be the ones we choose in the end, but I mean, they may not. But if we don't ask, we never know.
Yeah, we'd be willing to do that.
All right, I'll make a motion to table the legal counsel decision till the first meeting in February.
I'll second.
Should give ample time to get bids back by then, RFPs.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, they're relatively standard, so what we could do is just issue the letter.
Point of order. Once there's a motion to table, there's no discussion.
I didn't ask the question.
Well, he's talking.
Look at me.
I didn't say anything. I know, I'm sorry, just.
Okay, do we need to vote on that motion to table? Yes, okay. So I will begin our roll call with Mr. Dirks.
No.
Ms. Howard?
Aye.
Ms. Buck?
Aye.
Ms. Tift?
Aye. And can I ask who seconded that? Or do we
Uh,
not need Holly? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, so that carries 6-1. Okay, and we will look for more information on that in February. Okay, next up is electronic fund transfers. So we have a recommendation to authorize Jackie Paradis, who is our business manager, and Karsten Anderson, superintendent, to initiate electronic fund transfers. Have a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Rowe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tower. Any discussion? Okay. Where did I leave off? I'll start our roll call with Ms. Tower.
Aye.
Ms. Buck?
Aye.
Ms. Tift?
Aye.
Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
No, and I'll tell you why later.
Mr. Dirks?
Aye.
Okay. Chair votes aye, so that carries 6-1. Okay. So then we are up to corporate credit card holders. So we have a list in our packet of the positions that would hold credit cards.
And this is the topic that we discussed at some point last year. And a year ago, we had listed the particular names of people in each position, as well as a position and a limit. And so there were some questions about, by doing that, do we have to come back every time there's a change in, the particular position, who holds that position? Jackie also reviewed the different limits for those corporate credit card holders. And in the end, the recommendation is just a list of positions with the limits as listed.
I definitely appreciate the cleaning up of this. I think that makes much more sense. So, and I know that it got worked through the finance committee, so thank you for the work on that. I think it feels a little more aligned. So, thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve that list?
I move to approve the list of credit card holders as presented.
Do we have a second?
Nikki Buck, second.
Second by Ms. Buck. Any discussion? Okay. So, I will begin our roll call vote with Ms. Buck.
Aye.
Ms. Tift?
Aye.
Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Mr. Dirks?
Aye.
Ms. Tower?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, so that carries 7-0. Lisa?
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. On the background legal counsel, there were two recommendations for motions. Are we going to do the second one, or are we going to skip the second one?
Well, that's a good point, Lisa. There are two different motions. One is to select a law firm, and then the second motion is to determine who can initiate contact, with the legal firm. And we can certainly wait on both of those motions until after we get the quotes. So that'd be my suggestion. Let's wait until the first meeting in February, and then we'll clean that up.
All right. Okay, so we are up to the IDEA resolution, IDEA. The Legislative and Policy Committee looked at this in December and forwarded it to the full board for approval. I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Bryant, second by Ms. Tower. Okay, any discussion? I will start our roll call with Ms. Tippett.
Aye.
Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Mr. Dirks?
Aye.
Ms. Tower?
Aye.
Ms. Buck?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, so that carries 7-0. All right. Moving on to future topics and upcoming meetings.
Jim has the same.
Yes, Mr. Bryant.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be your vice chair last year and working with the chair, Pam Rowe. It was a pleasure to work with her. I thank you very much for putting confidence in me as your treasurer, and I hope to do an amazing job.
Thanks, Jimmy.
No, you will.
No, you. Thank you for taking on that role.
I didn't nominate myself.
I knew in my heart you were the right person for the job.
All right, so we have approved the 22 meeting schedule, and we will work on developing the agenda for those the committee portion and the full board meeting. All right.
I have an upcoming
Yes.
topic. Yeah, I would like an update from Marcia Walker about our recovery services process and the funding that's going to be needed for that, and if there's going to be additional teachers needed. Just kind of an update on where we're at with that.
I didn't hear what you said.
So in special education, students who were home during COVID,
Did you say Marcia Walker?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the special ed director.
I didn't hear you.
We have to.
That's fine. I realize it now. I didn't hear the name.
Good, gotcha.
Okay, we can add that in. All right.
If I could just repeat the conversation that Pam, Jim, and I had before Christmas in terms of discussing legislative platforms from different educational organizations that will be discussed during this legislative session. So we talked about that possibility as a workshop topic as well.
Okay. And I think we still have a couple of workshop topics that we did not cover this past year that had been suggested. So we'll see when we can work those in.
Well, if we could add to the committee agendas, we need to talk about grade configurations and placements sooner rather than later, and then transportation. We need to make those changes much sooner in 22 than we did in 21. So the sooner we can get those on the agenda, the better.
Yeah, and I would hope either the second meeting in January or right away in February. Like you say, we want that to be the first priority.
All right, so then
I don't know if this is appropriate. I've been meeting with the city, and there's multiple groups that want to work with the school. So is this appropriate to talk about now or another time?
sure, go ahead.
Okay, we met for Earth Day week planning, a bunch of groups in Red Wing, including Prairie Island, and we're all going to collaborate together, and then we're also going to start showing support and showing up to other people's events as a group as a whole. We really want to target the youth and get the youth involved. They really want to get the whole city and all these different entities really want to get their foot in the school district door. So just to keep something on the radar for the future when the city and Prairie Island and all the other different groups, when they want to start engaging, collaborating with the school district.
Okay, so then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so motion
I'm so
by,
excited.
Ms. Rowe, second by Ms. Tower to adjourn, and go back to my roll call. Leave off with Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Mr. Dirks,
Aye.
Ms. Tower. Aye. Ms. Buck,
Aye.
Ms. Tift,
Aye.
Ms. Rowe,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. We are adjourned at 7:06 p.m.
Hey, that is the shortest meeting ever.
What's
Nice
that?
job.
Oh, I
Your
think
first one.
Jim still has the
40
record on
minutes
that.
was the shortest.
Oh.
And then you were like 41 or 42.